Hi everyone, welcome back to Step by Step Coding. So today we are moving from high level requirement into technical architecture using the GitHub Spec Kit core engine, which is /plan command. So in other words, in this episode we will be talking about the planning phase. So what actually it means that after the specification, the next thing which you do, you create a solid plan. And we all know that a planning is extremely important to have a good quality of code. So what actually I'm going to do, before we jump directly into the plan, I'm adding a simple requirement to have the open API Swagger UI implementation as well. So once we go at the end of the phase, we can actually test it out our API as well by using the Swagger UI. So here, what actually I'm going to do, I'm going to add a simple requirement in our existing specification that hey, let's implement the Swagger UI as well as part of this minimal API implementation. So I'm adding that command. Now what actually it is going to do, it is going to update our existing specification file, the markdown file, which is having all our other requirements where we have all our other user stories. So if you see here functional requirement 008, it simply added that hey, let's implement the Swagger UI as well. Now let's jump into to create a solid technical plan. So all we have to utilize the spec-kit.plan command and you hit enter. What actually it is going to do, it is going to bring that automation as part of the GitHub Copilot, and it is going to utilize that planning agent to create a solid architecture based on our specification. Now at this moment, what actually it is trying to do, it is doing actually the deep scan of the workspace. It is identifying all the existing project structure, reading the spec kit configuration which we have, constitution we have, and then creating a solid plan. So it creates a couple of files. So plan.md is our main planning markdown file, which will have the details about the entire plan of the specification. Now if you folks see here within the technical context, it is able to identify that minimal API has to be built in C#. We never shared that hey, we are going to utilize the Python or anything else, but it was able to identify it. It identified all the dependencies, and it came up the best, the libraries package what actually it needs. In addition of plan.md, it also creates a couple of other files. One of the file is the research findings, and research means that based on the specification, it as just like an architect, right? It try to find out that how the storage would be implemented, how open API and Swagger has to be implemented, and what would be the best approach, what would be the data validation. So that would be part of your research markdown file. In addition of that, we will have the data model. Let me quickly open the data model file. So data model will have our the data is kind of the decisions. For example, here the entities, it is telling that okay, we are going to utilize the entities, and this would be your database schema of our the product inventory API. And then under the contract, one of the most important file is that api.md. This is where you will see all the endpoints, that what are different endpoints going to be, what would be your request, the contract and response contract, your HTTP status code. So the whole idea is that before actually the agent going to write a single line of code, you will be able to completely at a high level, you will be able to understand that how your implementation is going to look like. If anything, let's say if it deviates the way you are imagining, right, anything which it's trying to create which not what you are expecting, it deviates, this is your chances that you can correct it here, that hey, I want to have this field name, I want to have this data type, and that you can get this corrected. So that's all for this episode. In next episode, we are going to talk about, we are going to distribute this entire plan within the list of tasks, and then in final episode we are going to actually implement, and agent would be able to code it, this entire specification, and build, and we are going to run this whole API on the Swagger UI. Thank you so much.